Ooh, Victor Drago. I'd like a peek behind his iron curtain. Oh, I didn't see you there! My name is Sylvester Dillon. I hold PhDs in space and basketball fundamentals with a minor in film history. I've been told that I'm uniquely qualified to discuss and debate and defute whether or not various movies are better than the modern classic Space Jam. Today we'll be discussing 2018's Cred 2. Is it better than Space Jam? Let's find out. Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Because if you don't like me, Kyle won't like me. This boxing blockbuster begins 3 years after the first Creed, with Adonis becoming the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. But while Adonis is celebrating and proposing to his girlfriend and having nonsensical conversations with Rocky, the Russians are invading! And not to disrupt our elections like one would think. They're here to disrupt our mainstream pugilists. Ivan Drogo, the fiend who murdered Apollo Creed 33 years ago, apparently has a son. A monster of a boy named Victor, who was raised in hate like a Russian boxing Draco Malfoy. Together, the Drogos plan to take down Adonis, Rocky, and probably all of NATO. Adonis accepts Victor Drogo's challenge to fight, even though Rocky doesn't think it's a very good idea. Creed tells him where he can shove it and goes it alone anyways, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him. Adonis goes back home a battered, broken man. But he's still technically the heavyweight champion of the world because Victor got himself disqualified for punching poor Donnie while he was knocked down. But Adonis' ego is shattered. It takes the birth of his daughter to shake him out of his funk just enough for Rocky to take him to a shack in the middle of the desert to a place where fighters are reborn. Whatever that means, it just looked like he was really thirsty for a lot and dug a hole. At the same time, on the other side of the world, the Drogos are having a fancy dinner party with some rich Russian oligarchs. The Russians disowned Ivan Drago after Rocky defeated him and won the Cold War for the good old US of A. But now that his son is a big, buff, proletariat stud, kicking all sorts of American asses, the Dragos are now at the top of the charts in Mother Russia. And things turn oh so salacious when the wife of Flavor Flav shows up and cuts the Dragos like there's no tomorrow. At last, Adonis and Victor square off for their rematch. Rocky in Donnie's corner, Ivan in Victor's corner. And the Americans win! Because we're the best! Wow, back-to-back World War champs, back-to-back Cold War champs! USA! 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 As the 8th entry in the Rocky franchise, you may assume that it would crumble under the weight of all of its callback references and familiar plot lines that have been revisited time and again over the franchise for 40 years. But you'd be wrong, you fools! Creed 2 was a very fine addition to the Rocky franchise. Despite a lack of true surprises, the film felt more like a new story in a familiar world, as opposed to most of the rebootquels we get thrown at us nowadays. And what a cast! Michael Jordan B shines again! And Sly Stallone reminded us that he's not just some unintelligible action star who sounds like he's taken more punches to the head than Rocky himself, but he can actually turn in a thoughtful and emotional performance that reminded us all why we fell in love with this franchise in the first place. And just look at the pecs on Victor Drago. My word! If that's not worth the price of a ticket, I don't know what is. But was it better than Space Jam? Let's turn it over to Sylvester Dillon courtside with the post-game rewards. Sylvester Dillon? And they're supposed to be in the same weight class? There's no way. Oh, I didn't hear you there. Thanks, Sylvester Dillon. This is Sylvester Dillon courtside with the post-game rewards. This first award is the Bill Murray Award, given to the character with the least amount of screen time yet made the largest impact. The Bill Murray of this this movie is awarded to the Count of Monte Fisto, the master of disaster, to the one and only Apollo Creed. The greatest champion of his era may not have physically been in the movie. I mean, his skeleton was technically in his grave, so I guess that counts. Regardless, his presence was felt throughout the entire film. He's the father of Adonis Creed, the best friend of Rocky, and if he wasn't murdered at the beginning of Rocky IV, Adonis would have never felt the need to avenge him in the first place. Plus, Carl Weathers was in Rocky and Predator, making this a record-setting third time on Is It Better Than Space Jam? So that's points! Now we're on to the play of the game, awarded to the most important sequence as it relates to the film, as well as the Alistair Dillon quality analysts. And the play of this game is the birth of Amara Creed. Now I know what you're thinking. Alistair Dillon, you hate all children. Now finally we arrive at the MVP reward, aka is the Mickle of the movie. And this is for the performer who had the most dominant and important performance throughout the movie. Usually this reward would go to the person named Mickle, but since he's Mickle B. Jordan and not Mickle the Jordan, this award must go to Victor Drago. I mean, just look at this man. All of those lines and curves and indentations and a pair of arms you could lose yourself in and forget about your troubles, if only just for a little while. This has been Alistair Dillon with the post-game rewards. Now we're going to kick it back to you in the Cinema Center, Alistair Dillon. Thanks, Alistair Dillon. Now, with all of the data we've compiled with the Alistair Dillon Is It Better Than Space Jam very complicated, huge, and awesome quotient matrix algorithm, we're going to give Creed 2 a score of 82%, which is certified Space Jam. It lost most of its points for being related to Rocky IV and having no mention of Paulie's robot, which our algorithms did not appreciate. Amateur goof. Thanks everyone for watching, because we know you did. What did you think of Creed 2? And what movies would you like to see go head-to-head with Space Jam? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video. And as always, this has been Alistair Dillon. Good night, and good luck.